I've been in dogs since 1991. We breed dogs that we want to train. I was out here in western Nebraska riding Harleys and training dogs. I don't sugarcoat anything, and if you don't like it, tough.
Welcome to the Flatliner Kennels podcast with Chris Jobman. And today we got a pretty special podcast here, something that Chris really decided information he needed to get out. So what do you got for us today, Chris?
Hi, Elliott. How are you, bud?
I am doing great. Full swing of hunting season for me, not for you.
Not for me. Let's do a little kennel update real quick.
Right.
I'm getting ready to leave on Saturday to run the Grand in Paducah, Kentucky. We're taking 24. We got 24 dogs entered. And I'm going to take an extra one with me for a backup dog. I'm going to take a dog named Vader. That's a super, super nice dog. And we're going to head that way on Saturday morning about 8 o'clock. I'm going to go about halfway and stop. I got to take care of 25 dogs and delivering a couple puppies. And I'm going to go about halfway, and then I'll finish it off on Sunday. And then our whole group will start training on Monday. In the Paducah area, and we got a huge training group. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think your buddy's going to join us on Monday, he said, right?
I think so. He's really excited about it.
Yeah, well, be careful what you wish for. I think he's only joining us on Monday, though. And he said he's training with another group starting on Tuesday. But it'll be fun. I met him one time. We were running a master test here at the kennel, not this summer. Well, maybe, no, it was last summer, I believe. And they're from Kansas or something somewhere. And he came up, him and his wife, they're like ER nurses or something.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We met him here. So they was a super nice couple. And he's got one little dog. I think it's a little British dog he's running. And where he's going to join us on Monday. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I've seen that dog a lot. He's one of my main training partners. Cooper, he just passed the amateur nationals, and he's a nice little dog.
Good. That is good.
Yeah.
But that's what we're going on here, and we getting ready for hunting season, and we got some young dogs coming in. But right now we've got a pile of dogs leaving the kennel, just like most everybody has this time of year. So what I wanted to talk to you about everybody tonight is what to expect, because this is a big topic, and it's something I really don't like to talk about because it's kind of boring to me, but I think it's beneficial to everybody. What to expect when you get your dog back from the trainer. A lot of these dogs going home, it's their first hunting season. What to expect in your first hunting season, your expectations versus actual reality. And it's a very different. Your expectations and reality are going to be two very different things, especially if this is your first dog trained by a professional. And a lot of those people, this is their first dog ever. So it's a hard topic to talk about, but I think it really needs to be talked about. We're not going to go into huge depth detail, but I do want to talk about it and put some expectations out there in people's minds. Anyway, so let's talk about a couple different things. Everybody wants to grab their dogs and, go dove hunting with them and teal hunting. And I think we've talked about some of this stuff in the past, but I'll be quite honest with you guys. I think teal hunting and I think dove hunting in the dog's very first hunting season, I think is a really, really bad thing in my mind. A couple different reasons. One, if you're dove hunting, it's usually hot and they're hard to smell. They're hard to find. And a lot of these dogs, when you take them home to your first hunting season, they expect when you sit down on a bucket or chair or however you're training, the trainers are training, they expect these birds to come out of wingers or somebody throwing them, right? So they don't understand watching a little 4-ounce gray rocket flying across the sky and shooting, and then when they do land, you can't find them, you can't smell them, you can't do anything. And most of the dogs that are going home during hunting season are just your gun dog, basic gun dogs. Most of them haven't been around long enough to be able to handle and run blind retrieves and those sort of things. So now you're putting a dog into a situation that it doesn't really know what's happening, doesn't really see the birds. They're just flying. They're flying so fast, hard to find. Then when they do find them, the feathers are coming off in their mouth. The feathers come off real easy, and they get in their mouth, and then now you have a problem with them chopping them, maybe even swallowing them. So it's a tough situation for your gun dog, your basic gun dog who's been in training 4 to 6 months to go do this deal. And I think it's a really, really tough situation for them. And most people, when they go, everybody's, oh yeah, I'll just hunt by myself and I'll hold the dog and let other people shoot. That lasts about 10 minutes. Everybody's shooting and everybody's banging. The dog is breaking. I mean, it's a no-win situation. Everybody's, I won't do that. And well, I got a story for us. There I had a dog named Ticket, who was a super, super, super nice dog. He ended up being a Grand Hunter Retriever champion, Master Hunter, MNH Hall of Fame dog. One of the nicest dogs I ever had. Well, it's funny because he stayed with us for about a year and a half his first stay. So which is ideal, to be quite honest with you. They can run blind retrieves, they're more mentally mature. So I tell his owner, I say, hey, whatever you do when you go hunting with him, don't on his first hunt, don't put him in there with 8 guys and lay out blinds and all this stuff. And Ticket was one of those very few dogs in my career that you could actually run almost every weekend. He was very, very calm, very, very intelligent, super calm, never moved a muscle. I mean, that's just how he was. He was just a really nice dog to have around. And so Austin takes him hunting for his first time. He sends me a picture. It's Ticket with 70 lesser geese.
His first hunt?
That's his first hunt.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, Austin, I said, how did he? He's like, he was unbelievable. He never broke. He never moved. That was a story of success. You get one of those success stories about every 15 really bad stories. He could actually do that, but don't do that. That's not a great thing. And then, people always want to take him teal hunting right off the bat, the whole 9 yards. And teal, as you know, are really hard on a young dog, especially his first hunting season, because they don't understand, it's basically dark and they're coming 2 feet off the water and they're come flying in. They can't see and they're low. And dogs, sitting on a stand or in a dog blind or however you're hunting them, have no idea what's going on. And the next thing you know, chaos ensues for 30 minutes, and it's overwhelming for the dogs. I don't care to do those. I wish people would. I wish people would back off and slow down. If they would take a mallard hunt or goose hunt or whatever, they would see the birds coming. They're bigger. They're coming from higher in the sky, and I think a dog can really concentrate on that much, much better.
Right. Yeah. Would you say if you were just absolutely dead set on doing a teal hunt, not very many people, keep it slow, make sure that you slow down the hunt and don't allow it to.
Yeah. Allow it to, I mean, you got to understand something. Everybody says they're going to do that, but very few people have the ability to do that or the patience, because next thing you know, I'm going to tell you, I've hunted a lot, and the most dangerous person in the world is a 50-year-old man who thinks he knows everything, and that's what they get with these dogs. And oh yeah, so then they shoot one bird that goes really well. They're like, oh, he's doing just fine. The next thing you know, they're raining out 5 or 6 teal, and it's too much. The dogs are switching, they're running back and forth, they're breaking. Now they're starting to whine and bark, and it's too much. But I think if you have to take them dove hunting or you have to take them teal hunting, I think you have to be very, very disciplined and take 1 or 2 people, and you hold the dog and you shoot one bird, and you go out and get the bird and you bring it back and work on all your mechanics and all your basics. Because I'm going to tell you what, you can destroy training in a matter of minutes when you start doing stupid stuff like this.
And I would assume a really bad first couple of experiences would take months and months and months and months to undo.
And I'll be quite honest with you, in some of the dogs that we have, I can name a handful of them right now that I think are going to be going home this winter, and they shouldn't be going home at all to go hunting. They're just too much dog. They're not mentally ready for it. And some of them have finished passes. Some of them are seasoned dogs. Some of them even have an HRCH. And it may sound crazy to these people, but they're not mentally ready to do it. They're too much dog. They're so much dog right now. They need 1 more year of maturity mentally And I think it's going to make all the difference in the world to them. But a lot of these guys, you get your season title, your senior title, your HRC. You're like, I'm going hunting. I don't give a shit what you say. Okay, whatever you do, don't listen to me. And then next year when they come back, we can't keep them steady because they've gone home and they're breaking. They're making noise, and they're just not quite ready. Here's the thing: everybody needs to understand something. If you have a hunting dog / hunt test dog, and now your goals are hunt tests, like that is your goal. I want to run the Grand, the Master National, whatever your goals are. If your goals are hunt tests, then you need to slow down and back way off on your hunting expectations and when you want them to go. Because I'm going to tell you is the damage that you can do during a hunting season will absolutely destroy you for, like, let's say a master test where they start shooting flyers. Mm-hmm. Some of these dogs, we're not going to be able to keep steady next year. I mean, it's going to be what we have to do to them to keep them steady is I don't want to do it. So I wish some people out there would be listening and just say, hey, no, we don't, our goals are hunt tests. It's not hunting. And especially if you own multiple dogs and you have a dog that you hunt with, what's the hurry on your young dog? Right. You have the best of both worlds. You have a super nice young dog being built, not quite ready for hunting season, but you already have a really nice dog at home. Just hunt that one. Let the other one just grow up. Mm-hmm. It's a hard situation to. It's hard to tell people that. You know what I mean? It's you got the new Corvette. And you want to take it out for a ride, and you're just not ready to drive it yet, and everybody wants to drive it.
Do you talk to your clients about what their goals are to the start? And I assume some clients would say, I want the hunt test. Some clients are like, no, I just want, my goals are really the hunting side of it. Is that a discussion you guys have?
Yeah, we have all the time. Mm. And I always tell them, I said, listen, if you're even remotely thinking about hunt tests, we need to talk about it because that's a different monster. I don't want to say it's a different program, but it's a different end goal.
Right.
So we have to think about that. I said, if you're even remotely thinking about it, we need to talk. Mm-hmm. And because that's a different, like I said, different end goal, and we go about it differently. And now if you are doing that or saying that, as an owner, you better be very, very, very patient.
Yeah.
Because that's what you have, right? So, and I've talked about this in depth. I don't even really hunt my personal dogs till they're like 4 or 5 years old. Because I have the benefit of having, we talked about the vest and the O'Malleys and Breakers and Jets of the world, and the vest gets passed down. Now it's Flash, and my next one will probably be Vader in that vest. But I don't even hunt those dogs because I have the luxury of other dogs, and so do other people with multiple dogs. You know, and I'm sure you've made, with Georgie, and you probably wish you'd have gone back and done some things differently when she was younger. What things as an amateur, when you got her and she's a fire breathing dragon, we all know it, she's a great dog. What things would you have done differently her first season or two?
I can definitely think of things that I would for sure have done differently in the training side of it. In her hunting, I was really, really careful. I was consistent about. So season 1, I was very consistent about steadiness was my number one goal. And she went through about a 5 hunt period where she wasn't steady at all. And I felt like I handled that really well. She was watching me get retrieves, and one hunt, it just came down to it where I just had it, and she watched me retrieve every bird on this hunt.
That's awesome.
Something clicked in her mind on that one. So like that type of stuff, I feel like I did really, really well. Where I faltered on was little obedience stuff that are now I'm trying to like jumping out of the boat too quick. Not properly teaching her how to be in the back of a layout. So even now she jumps up out on my shoulder when she's in a layout, because I just didn't go through like those training. I got sloppy, not on the main core stuff, but on the little behavioral stuff. I got really sloppy, and I still haven't caught up from some of it.
Yeah. You put her in a layout blind with you?
Yeah, I've got a cover over my back, so she's looking right up behind me.
You don't put her like in a dog blind right next to you?
I try to when I can, but I can't always do that based on, if we're portaging in, sometimes I can only take so much. I may be dragging. Sometimes I'll drag my kayak like 200 yards through the woods, And if I'm doing that, I just don't have the ability to have a stand. So we have a cover over the back of the kayak, and she just looks right behind me, but she's jumping out.
Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend that for most people.
I wouldn't either.
Super dangerous.
Because
she jumps out and you're trying to shoot and she hits you and your gun goes off to the side, left or right.
Right.
And now you're not shooting down range. You're shooting whoever's left or right of you. That's
right.
Or she hits the top. Yeah. I mean, that is that to me would be an absolute no-no. I would teach her to lay down or do something differently because that would scare the hell out of me.
Yeah, we've been doing that for years with our dogs. I've only been bumped. I've never been bumped severely like that.
Yeah,
I never thought of that. And I will say that we normally hunt 2 or 3 guys and we greatly space out. But I'm not denying that point. That's a good point.
That would scare the hell out of me. I wouldn't sit next to you. To be quite honest with you. I had a buddy of mine who used to work for me. He moved out to Utah. He got killed hunting layout blinds. A guy right next to him shot him. Really? I mean, just stupid. Just went over, shoot a bird to the left and got him and killed him. It was unbelievable. And then another buddy of mine, he was hunting out of a boat, kind of like you're talking. I think he was out of a boat, and it wasn't the shooting of the thing, but the dog hit the gun and shot his leg off. Damn near killed him. So that jumping out, I wouldn't. If you guys are listening, I would do not put your dog in like a layout blind with you. That's what they make the ground forest dog blinds for. But
that's a good point. Honestly, I'd never even really stopped to thought. We've never had a problem with it, but I never stopped to think about it.
It takes once. All it takes is one.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, but and I'm sure. I mean, and I've done all the mistakes, guys, out there. I mean, when I say try not to do this and don't do that, I've done them all. When I was younger, I put my dog in a layout blind with me, just like you're talking about, in a layout blind, and I actually had a dog. I was shooting birds, and my dog popped its head up and hit my right elbow. Actually, I shoot left-handed, so he's on my right. And I shot up in the air. I just shot straight up in the air over 10 feet. My gun went up and went off.
Oh, it scared the hell out of me.
All that. It scared the hell out of me. I'm like, but I didn't know any different.
Right.
Now I do. So when I talk about some of this hunting stuff, you may think I'm crazy, but trust me, I've done it. I've done everything wrong. Trust me, I've done it all. But anything else that you want, that you really, as an amateur getting their dog home, that you would have wished you'd have done differently at all?
Well, just the handling of a dog in the training versus in the field, because I'd never had a dog that's trained to the level of Georgie. So when you're training in your yard with a training group, everything is so manicured of the way you're standing, the way you're at. Yeah. And I really struggled to translate all of the handling and stuff to the field. Like everything just got sloppy and broke down in the hunts.
Yeah.
You don't see it the same. Even you're trying to give hand signals with a gunslinger on your back. And that's a really hard transition. Yeah.
And you're right, because you're not in a controlled environment and it's chaos. And that's where I always try to tell people, I said, listen, this is your first dog. Yep, this is my first dog. I'm so excited. I said, well, slow down, pump the brakes. And a lot of these dogs need to be trained. This is going to sound weird. A lot of these dogs need to be trained to a higher level than their owner. Because what ends up happening is if this dog has gone through the very, very basic gun dog program, and this is this guy's very first hunting dog, guy or lady's first hunting dog, now we're going to go goose hunting, which is honestly, for a dog's first hunt, is terrible because the damn birds are so big. But that's what people do around here. And it is just chaos because the dog's trained to this very basic level to go hunting. The owner knows it's very basic level or less. So now you have an owner that has really no idea what they're doing, a dog that really has no idea what they're doing, and it's just a train wreck waiting to happen. And when they come and get the dogs from us, and just kind of like everybody else does, we go through, Andrew and Julie go through this for an hour or two, and to do this is how you do it. And then they run their dogs and they do all those things with them. And here's the standard answer we get. Okay, do not let your dog break. If you need to tie your dog out, yep, I got it. Okay, now don't let him. Yep, I got it. Okay, now don't. I got it. That's what we get.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're not even listening. And what I try to tell people to do is when Andrew or Julie are running these dogs through the gun dog stuff when they come and get them is videotape them. Mm-hmm. And videotape the commands, videotape the sequences, videotape all of it, because they're so excited to see their dog when they come and get them, they don't listen.
Yeah.
And then I get the phone call, this damn dog won't pick up, it won't hunt nothing. And I'm like, oh yeah, what's it doing? Well, we put it in the bottom of a pit. I said, excuse me? Right. Didn't I tell you not to do that? Well, yeah, but we don't have a dog with those fancy dog blinds. So you put your year-old dog in the bottom of a goose pit, and your 5 buddies went up and, yep, that's what we did. I was like, so your dog didn't see the birds fall? Nope. But he should just go out there and get them. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating because I'm going to tell you, and I think it's just, I mean, most of the dogs we send home are great. They're ready to go. But I'll bet you for every 5 good phone calls I get during hunting season, I get 6 bad ones. Because they put their dogs into situations they're not ready for. Mm-hmm. And then and they won't admit it. They won't admit it. And then, and I'll be like, so how'd your dog do? Towards the end, oh, he's doing great during the end of the season. He's doing great. Well, that first time, so you said not to do that. I did that anyway. And they don't want to admit it right away until the very end.
Yeah.
But, that's another thing too with all these young dogs, especially the dogs that can't handle. They need to see birds fall. That's all there is to it. You can't put them in the bottom of a goose pit and expect them to be. Then the next thing you know, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to either scare the crap out of them because they're sleeping in the hole, they're sleeping in the bottom of the goose pit. They have no idea what's going on. Now there's 5 or 6 guys rising up, shooting 12 gauges over their head, and you can literally make a gun dog gun shy by doing that. That's actually even been through the program, right? Because they have no idea what's going on. Or you got that wild ass maniac that's running up and down the goose pit, knocking guns over because the owner will not discipline the dog, will not make the dog sit, will not make the dog place, will not make the dog do anything because they're buddies and they're not going to do that. And he thinks it's cute. Or when you start shooting, the dog jumps out of the goose pit, which is now gun level, right? Gun level, and the dog gets shot and breaking. That actually happened to a dog that we had in training here, a pretty nice dog, about the season level dog, went home and made it a couple hunting seasons, and it just ended up breaking. And that dog got out of just like I'm talking about, the bottom of a goose pit, jumped out and ran across the pit, and the end guy shot the dog.
Oh my gosh.
But like, well, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. If it can happen, it's going to happen.
And, I mean, most dogs are going to break at some point, right?
They're going to break at some point. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Right.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Hell, Flash did it on me. We were goose hunting 2 or 3 years ago, and it was the end of the season goose hunt, and we did A-frames. Now, granted, we did shoot 40 geese in about an hour, and we had a big group come in and do it right on the water. I think we shot 14 of them out of there.
Good grief.
And I looked up, and he was picking up bringing back the first goose when the last one landed, splashed. Uh-huh. I'm like, what are you? He's a Grand Retriever champion. What are you doing? And I didn't even know it because he was completely steady the whole season.
Yeah, you weren't even thinking about it, right?
I wasn't even thinking about it. And he did break, and then after he did that, I was done with him. He sat in the dog blind, and he watched Spank pick up every mark. Or we walked out, picked him up. And this was a Grand Hunting Retriever champion QA2 dog that we may do that. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of when. It's where or how, it's when. And it's dangerous. So the dogs have got to see the birds fall. Please, please, please let the dogs see the bird fall. And I'll be quite honest with you. So we just sent home a really nice dog, Luna. Just went home today. She's got 1 finished pass. She's a fabulous animal. And she'll come back after hunting season. But she stayed with us for 1.5 years. And everybody's like, oh, my God, that's so long. Well, but you think about it. Now the dog is going to go home for her first hunting season, right, in California. They do a lot of boats. They do a lot of rice fields. They do a lot of that type of stuff in California. And Luis came and got her this week. And super nice guy, and he's doing it right. I said, now, what you don't want to do, now when you get the dog home, you need to go through your basic obedience, right? You need to heel, here, sit, do all those things. Then we show him our pattern blind lying and casting drill. Now, I want you to run her through some pattern blinds, right? And you get used to sending the dog stopping, the dog casting, the dog doing everything, right? Now, before you go hunting, go to where you're going to hunt. Put her in the boat, boat her out there, put her where you're going to hunt, put the decoys out, do the whole thing in the daylight. Mm-hmm. Shoot, call, shoot, throw bumpers, do all those things in the daylight and practice. Because the last thing you want to do is put your dog in the boat, middle of the night, go tooling in there. It's her first hunting experience. She has no idea what's going on.
Right.
No clue. You're out in the boat. She's super excited. Everybody's excited. You put her up on the bow or however you're going to do it. You're sitting in the dark. And guess what happens? Here comes a teal or gadwalls right at shooting time. The dog has no clue what's going on. And now you start blasting away, and either you shoot over the dog's head and scare the hell out of it, which happened one time to a dog in Utah that we trained. I told the owner not to do it, and he did it and made her gun shy. Just scared the heck out of her. She was a soft dog anyway. But what I'm saying is those dogs like that, those early, and people have got to have really good self-discipline to do this. Those really, really early birds in the morning that the dog doesn't see, don't shoot them. Because they have no clue, right? They have no idea what's happening. So I would wait till the sun came up, and yeah, you're going to miss some shots, and you're going to miss some early birds. And I mean, I get it. Are you there? But are you there to shoot birds? Are you there to work your dog and give your dog the best hunting experience you possibly can? Once the dog is a seasoned hunting dog, go ahead and let it rip. But their first hunting experiences, you have to pick and choose what it's going to be. Is this going to be a good thing or a bad thing? And you need to look and think about this. What could happen? And is it really fair to the dog first few hunts to shoot birds early light and has no idea what's going on?
Right. You
know what I mean? So
yeah,
let the sun come up, let the dog see the bird. And then even if it doesn't see the bird coming in, if you shoot it, maybe it'll see the splash and like, oh, there it is. And off they go. But when it's early, all they see is fire out of the end of a gun barrel.
Yeah. And I would say if you have put in the time and the effort and the money to get your dog through everything through like that, then your dog needs to come first on that hunt because it's one hunt. Once you've decided to go to a professional trainer, you're all in with the deal.
Yeah.
That's a waste of money for you to get your dog out and not put your dog absolutely first on those hunts.
Correct. You spent thousands of dollars and you have a super nice dog and that you could literally ruin at the beginning of hunting season because you don't have the discipline not to be a 13-year-old kid. And it happens all the time. And I hate it. And I hate it for the dog because, a lot of these dogs we send home are super nice. Mm-hmm. I think you need to put your dog in the situation that it is going to succeed and excel and be able to mentally handle the situation. You know what? And if you have friends with you that don't appreciate that or don't want to play on that game, don't take them.
Right.
They're all they're in it is to kill birds.
You need to explain it to them ahead of time. Explain it to them in the morning of the hunt. You need to
everybody needs to be on the same page. Like, listen, guys, we're here. This is Luna's first hunt, first few hunt. Let's just, very, very calm. Let's just do it like this. And if your friends can't do that, they're not your friends. Don't take them no more. They can find their own place to hunt. Yeah. And another thing that we need to talk about is a little bit of hunting etiquette, right? And not everybody is going to agree with this, and I don't really care. But if you're invited on a hunt, right? If you're invited to a duck club in Arkansas, if you're invited to any of these hunts, don't be like, okay, I'll bring my dog. They're not really, unless the people tell you, hey, go ahead and bring your dog. It can hunt with us. If you're being invited, leave your dog at home. Mm-hmm. right? Everybody's got a dog that likes to hunt. Everyone wants to hunt their dog. And if you really want to be that guy who wants to bring their dog and try to show off, and next thing you know, your dog is breaking, whining, barking, ruining the hunt. They're inviting you to hunt. They're not inviting your dog. Now, if they say, hey, Georgie's a badass, let's do this thing. You bring her with you because we need a dog. By all means, do it. But if you're being invited on a hunt, you'd be surprised, Elliott, how upset people get when they can't bring their dog hunting.
Right.
And we're inviting you. We're not inviting. We want to hang out with you, and we're not inviting your dog. Mm-hmm. And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll bring my dog." Like, no. We have plenty of dogs. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of hunting etiquette involved in that. I go down and hunt with Chris Aiken every year, and we've talked about this all the time. And I go down there to his club at the end of duck season every year. Have been doing it for years. Not one time have I said, "Hey man, can I bring Flash?" They have member dogs.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing I want to do is my dog, no matter how good they are, to be involved in a hunt when they could have brought their own dog. I've never one time in my life said, "Hey, can I bring my dog?"
Yeah.
But that's a little bit of etiquette people need to think about as well.
I would think that would be a given when you're going to a club. I'm
going to tell you, Elliott, it is not a given. Mm-hmm. There are some people that get so mad, and I've had people like, "Well, then I'm not coming." Well, then don't. I don't care. Go walk in a mile and a half on public. Have fun. Yeah. I've had people really not come because of it.
Yeah, I've had people ask to bring their dog sometimes, and not very often because I don't hunt outside my small group very much. But when I do, the first question is your dog steady? What kind of training is your dog? If the answer is my dog's not steady, there is no. Well, I guess the next question might be, are you going to leash your dog? I mean, but yeah, a misbehaved dog can absolutely ruin the whole thing.
Ruin it, and you'll never be invited back again.
Yeah. So
why even run the risk? So, but unless your dog is invited and they say something, don't push it. Don't push it. So I'm trying to think of other things. And as far as hunting dogs go, it doesn't matter. I'll be quite honest with you. It doesn't matter how many times you've taken the dog hunting. What matters is how many birds has your dog picked up? How many birds have been killed over your dog? How many good experiences has your dog had to be a hunting dog? It doesn't matter if you've taken the dog 50 times and you've only killed 50 birds. That dog has no idea what's happening. Now, if you've taken your dog 10 times and you've killed 100 plus birds over that dog in a good situation where that dog sees the birds fall, now it's chasing cripples down and diving for cripples and picking them up and deliver. And those are great experiences. But the dog that's been 50 times to a goose pit, at the bottom of a goose pit, and they've only killed 50 birds and 50 hunt, that ain't going to do it.
Right.
You got to kill birds over your dog in the right situations. I'm not talking about going to Canada with your 9-month-old dog who's been in a gun dog program and killing 300 birds over him in 5 days. You're going to make a maniac out of that dog. And if you're going to do that, you're better off hunting that dog for just a little bit, getting, some good retrieves over that dog and some good positive experiences, and then put it away.
So talk with me about that a little bit more. So if they have too many retrieves, what negative, you say you're going to make it a maniac? Expand on that a little bit more.
So
too many retrieves just makes them crazy or what?
Yeah, it makes them nuts, man. I mean, you take them to Canada, right? And you're in layout blinds and there's 8 guys and the dog's next to you in a dog blind and you're sitting there and you're gonna pound on the field mallards or the geese or whatever you're gonna do. It's Canada. And you're sitting there and your dog has, basically been through a 4 to 6 month gun dog program. And it's real wound up. It's really excitable. I can name dogs that just went home that are like that. Great dogs, but they're really, really excitable. But you're going to go on this hunt and you got 8 guys and you're expecting to shoot anywhere from 50 birds to 75. I don't know what the limit is. I don't know what that. So if you're going to do that, and now all of a sudden your dog starts being steady. It starts out being steady. You've shot 10 or 15 birds over a dog. It's perfectly steady. It's going out. It's finding the birds, it's bringing it back, and it's doing a really nice job, right? Let's just say an hour into the hunt, now you look over, you shoot into a volley, your dog is no longer in the dog blind, it is 4 feet out in front of it. Mm-hmm. Now you're starting creeping and breaking, and you're like, oh, this is great, Georgie, and now the dog's not even in the dog blind, it's halfway out in the field. Mm-hmm. Now you start hearing whining now. Now all this bad stuff starts happening, so you're much better off after that dog has had a really good experience, before any of this stuff starts happening, quit while you're ahead and put it away.
So too much stimulus for where you lose control of the hunt. You lose control of the hunt, and then you lose control of the dog, and then it just breaks down.
And then the next day, that dog remembers that dog's last experience of you've lost control of the dogs. The dog's last experience is breaking on all these birds. So the next day, that's its last experience. If that's what it remembers, volley number 1 comes, the dog's breaking or barking or whining or doing, where it just ends up doing the exact same thing it just did before. Yeah. So if you start seeing that, just put it away, or actually put it away before that starts and say, listen, I've had a really good hunt this morning. He's had 15 really nice retrieves. We're going to be here for 4 days. I'm going to walk back to the truck and put Fido away, and I'm going to come back. Because you're hunting in a field. Who cares? You can walk to the birds anyway, right? So I think you need to quit while you're ahead. You know what I mean?
So it's something kind of you talked about before, where you said you're thinking of your dog's life as managing its career. And you were talking about hunt tests, but really that goes to hunting too.
Correct.
You're managing your dog's career.
Correct. Hunting career, hunt test career, you've got to manage their career. It's just like a little kid playing baseball who's a pitcher.
Or even like a professional rookie.
Correct.
Pitcher in baseball.
You're not throwing 200 pitches a game.
Right. You ease them into it.
And you stop before you blow out a rotator cuff. Like you ease into that stuff. It's the same thing with a dog. You ease into it, and if you start seeing bad shit happening, put them away. And put them away before it starts happening. Just if you're not it's not embarrassing. Nobody's talking about you. Nobody's like, oh my God, Georgie's terrible. Nobody's saying that. You're going to gain more respect from your buddies by putting your dog away and getting him out of the situation. They're going to be like, that was really smart. Because in 5 years, 6 years, 7, 8 years, you want that dog to still hunting with you, still being steady, still be doing a nice job. You could destroy a dog in Canada in 2 seconds.
That steady thing, I'll tell you, the first time Georgie wasn't steady, I think it was her 4th or 5th hunt. That one time she wasn't steady unlocked something in her brain. I said it was like 4 or 5 hunts in a row before we had that come to Jesus that hunt, and it got. But I mean, that one instance of her breaking at that age, cut something. I've got a question for you about steadiness with dogs, and so if your dog is having problems being steady, I never thought to leash Georgie during that time, because I felt like had I put a leash on her, I'm being defeated. Like, no, you're steady. What are your thoughts on leashing a dog at an early age that's not steady?
I tell my clients, I give them the link to where you can buy a little, I can't remember what it's called, but you buy it from like Gun Dog Supply. I literally will text that link to my guys, my clients, and listen, your dog does a really nice job. It's going to start breaking how you hunt. It's inevitable. Buy this thing, this little leash thing.
Quick release.
Yeah, like a quick release thing. Yeah. And they're like, well, yeah, but I don't want to. Listen, I'm telling you, please put this on there, especially if it's coming back, because what we have to do to fix it is it's not going to be fun. And I tell you what, like Preacher just went home. Super, super, super nice dog. And Chris, his owner, is hunting with him, I think, the first time this weekend. I think he did a really nice job. I haven't really heard all the details. But this dog's an HRCH. Been with us a year and a half. But this dog is likes to break. He still, to this day, at a hunt test and finished, wants to leave. And now we've got him pretty steady. And I told Chris, I said, listen, buy this steak, buy this quick release thing. He's bought all that stuff. He copied our dog pits that we hunt out of that you've seen. He's building those. He is doing his due diligence to keep that dog steady and under control because we all want that dog, him, me, the breeder included. That dog is probably going to run the Fall Grand of next year and or the Master National. And if he doesn't keep that dog steady this winter, there's zero chance that's happening.
So how do you ease them? If I had gone to a leash, I would have felt like a failure.
Yeah.
In my mind, I've always thought, well, the dog's going to know leash versus no leash. He's going to know when it's on and when it's off. And how would you, if like I had gone to a leash, let's say in my scenario, after the second hunt, I start leashing her. How do you ease back off of that leash and not just?
Well, here's the thing. You may never, on certain dogs, you may never. It just depends on the dog and how wound up they are. You may never. But what I do know is you start out with that quick connect thing. The dog doesn't get rewarded for breaking because it doesn't break. And it may try to break and it stops. He's like, oh, I can't go nowhere. Mm-hmm. And how you do it, you put the stake behind the dog in the dog blind, not in front. Mm-hmm. You put it behind so they can't, when they break, they can't leave the dog blind and it catches them. They can't, you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
You put it behind the dog blind so they can't really pull against it. There's no slack. There's a little bit of slack in it, but not like if it was in front of them. But they don't get rewarded for breaking. They don't get.
But why is that better than just shocking them?
Well, you can just quote unquote shock them, but their first hunting experience, I guarantee you, nobody is going to take that collar when they go hunting and they're not going to turn it up and that dog breaks. Nobody is that I know of is like, that's it, I'm going to get him. That does not happen.
I did.
The dog's been away for it does not happen.
Honestly though, I didn't have to use that with Georgie. I can voice stop her. She doesn't run through the voice.
Yeah. So like, you shouldn't even have to do that.
But I'm saying is she would try to break. I would holler no here. She would stop. Then I'd hammer, bring her back, and I'd go and pick up the bird. Is that not preferable to immediately leash them?
You could, but very, very, very few people are going to do that.
Just because they're not set to do it. They're not in their mind set to do it.
They're not ready for it. They're not ready for it. They don't want to do it. They think it's mean. They're not ready for it. They don't want to do it. It's not in their mind. They want to shoot birds. They're so excited. They think the dog's been in training 4 to 6 months or even a year and a half. And the dog is going to be perfect. It's going to be an absolute angel. It was trained by a pro trainer. I spent X amount of dollars. This dog's going to be perfect. It's not how it works.
Okay.
Not even close. Because you can't simulate in training that excitement. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. Like, okay, Andrew, we release 50 teal. Let's do it. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, you know? Yeah. So I think if you leash your dog up with that quick connect or a dog pit or something like that, I think that dog doesn't get into the habit of breaking. And then now in your mind, you have to say, okay, he's not, and you could tell if it's trying to break or not, right? You can tell. Okay, Preacher's not breaking right now. He hasn't tried to break in 5 hunts. All right, guys, I'm going to not leash. I'm not going to quick connect him, but I'm not shooting either. Mm-hmm. Right? I'll call, however you want to do it. I have the transmitter in my hand. You guys get to shoot. I am not shooting. And then when you call a shot, you have to be disciplined enough that if he leaves that dog blind, you turn that collar up and you get into that dog with that collar, get that dog stopped, put back into the dog blind, and a walk out, pick up the birds.
Right.
Very few people are going to be that disciplined to do that.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do. Put the gun down and run the dog because
I guess people need to evaluate how much they really want it. They need to evaluate themselves too. Like in my case, when I got Georgie from you, this has always rung in my ears and you don't remember saying it. You're like, what if you do such a crap job with this dog, you make me look bad? And damn it, I was determined because I'm videoing this stuff, Chris. Everyone's going to see it.
I actually remember saying that, and I did it on purpose, and it worked.
It worked.
I actually did it on purpose. That's why we're still friends.
I'm glad you did, because it put a fire under me. This is the first dog I've ever put this kind of effort into, and
look how good she
was a huge
is.
part of it.
Look how good she is. Look how great.
Oh, I'm thrilled.
Yeah,
I'm thrilled. And you had to talk me into the no e-collar thing. You were so nice about that too. I was like, I don't really think I'm going to do that well. You're like, well, nicely said, you better. Yeah. But you were real nice about it. You're like, it's your dog, but
yeah, I'm glad you didn't. You looked the other way on that deal, but
I am too. You had to guide me. Your half of your life is guiding people and dogs, I think.
It's terrible. It's so hard. It's so hard. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is these young dogs. It doesn't matter how long they've been in training. It doesn't matter how much money you spent. None of that matters. You've got to put the dog in really good situations to see the birds fall. Not breaking, do everything right, do your mechanics right. Mm-hmm. A lot of these dogs, when we get them back, they start mouthing birds. Mm-hmm. I'm like, when did this start? Well, we teal hunted them and they're small. I'm like, what did I say? Yeah, they start squishing the teal or little, or a lot of guys around here, these poor dogs, his first hunt is a goose hunt.
Yeah.
And that's terrible. I mean, that is absolutely terrible. The birds are so big and everybody's like, well, this dog wasn't force fetched. I'm like, excuse me? Like, you have a video of this dog picking up duck after duck after duck after duck. Mm-hmm. And everybody wants to force their dog on a goose. Yeah. That's the last thing you want to do. And when you goose hunt, make sure, this is a big deal too, make sure that goose is dead. Mm-hmm. Because I've seen dogs get flogged by a goose, and then after that, they want nothing to do with them. They're so big, and they can be mean. But make sure the goose is dead. And if the dog doesn't pick up the goose, not a big deal. Nobody's laughing at you. Your friends aren't making fun of you. Just walk out to the goose and grab it and you like a fun bumper, like, hey, and just start throwing it around. The biggest thing is the dog wants to pick it up, just doesn't know how. Yeah. They're so big. They don't know how. And very, very few dogs in the world out there can literally grab a goose like by the breast, like a duck, and just pick it up like it's no big deal. Very few dogs can do that because they're not quite that big. So they have to pick up by the leg joint or the neck, where the neck meets the body, or the big wing bone. It doesn't matter how they pick that goose up. It just matters if they bring it back or not. And it's hard for some of them dogs to pick up them geese because they're just so big and intimidating. And it's not a matter of I don't want to pick it up. It's just they don't know how. And then if you start forcing on a goose, like force fetching and all that crap, now you just make the goose even more intimidating, right? You make it even more scary. So you just take the goose, and especially a dead one, and just throw it around, and then let the dog figure out how to pick it up.
That's one mistake I really made with Georgie on her first goose hunt. It was a pond goose hunt, and we shot a lot of them. She'd never picked up geese. She'd bring the goose all the way back to the bank. She'd get it a couple feet, but then there was a little lip there, and she was little, not even fully muscled out at the time, and so I was so determined that she was going to bring that goose back the last 3 feet that I made this big deal about it. And I think about it now, I'm just like, oh, and she's fine. Nothing really bad happened from it, but it was just such wasted. She was doing so great, and at the end of every retrieve, I'm giving her hell.
It's just wasted energy. Like it, and then you see some of them, those goose docking goose things. Them things are humongous. They're hard to pick up. And I know people who have forced on those huge docking goose things, dummy things. I'm like, what are you doing? It's a lot easier for a dog, honestly, to pick up a goose if it's in swimming water. Mm-hmm. Because they come in on the side, and they can grab it a little bit easier. When that thing's laying flat, belly up on the cornfield, that's tough to pick up. Yeah. And they're big. And I'll tell you, Flash, I'll be honest with you, Flash doesn't pick them up very good. Well, for one, I don't kill very many of them, so I don't really care. But he doesn't pick them up nearly as good as like Moose and Spank and all them other dogs of Andrew and Caden's. Those dogs pick up tons of geese. And Flash doesn't pick up a ton of them. He doesn't pick them up nearly as good as those other dogs do, just because he hasn't had the practice to do it. I bet Flash has only picked up 25 geese his entire life.
You just don't go into the.
I just don't care about it. No, I don't. I don't care to goose hunt. And if I have to, he'll pick them. Now he'll go get them and bring them back. Don't get me wrong, but I don't care nothing. I mean, he might have picked up 50 in his life, but compared to thousands of ducks. But but he just doesn't pick them up very well because he doesn't have the practice. In a goose dog, it takes practice for them to pick it up. It really does. I mean, I've hunted with dogs that are 45, 50 pounds, and around here, it's the craziest thing. Around here is like everybody's like, they'll call me. You got any of them big river labs? I'm like, what's a river lab? Tell me about that. A big river. I need a great big 9,500 pound blocky river lab. I'm like, they don't exist. I mean, those dogs are very few and far between. Well, my first one was 135 pound chocolate, not an ounce of fat on it. That's what I get. I'm like, excuse me? It's unbelievable. And it's not about the size. Granted, some bigger dogs pick up geese better than others. I get it. Don't get me wrong. But it's about, how bad does a, dog want to pick them up. I've seen 50-pound dogs pick up geese like it's nothing. Mm-hmm. They've learned how to pick them up, and they love to do it, and they got super high retrieving desire, and they're great dogs. They're great dogs. So now I'm talking, greater Canadas. I'm not talking like the lessers are little, the snow geese are little and the Rosses. I'm talking about greater Canadas. Those can be pretty big birds, but intimidating birds. I know I'm missing some stuff on your dog's first hunting season, but and I'm going to wrap it up here real quick. But the biggest thing I just want to let everybody understand is it takes to make a really good hunting dog. It takes birds shot over them in the right environment, not overwhelming, and let them see the birds fall, let them see them come in, all those things. And it just takes a lot of birds. It takes a lot of experience. No matter how long the dog has been trained, there's nothing like hunting experience to make a hunting. You have to have a hunting dog to make a hunting experience. Now, if you have an HRCH master hunter and it's their first hunting season, you're actually way ahead of the curve, because now you can handle your dog. The dog will stop to a whistle and you can cast it around. It's not marking every bird. That dog is going to have a lot better hunting season and a lot more enjoyable hunting season for the owner than the dog that's got 4 to 6 months of training that doesn't handle. Those dogs are hard to have, especially where we live on the hunting this river up here. That's tough. Those dogs, people that take those dogs home have got to understand it's going to take a little while. And you got a baby with a very basic training. So you're going to have a basic hunting dog. You can't expect to have a mature hunting dog the first hunting season. That's just not going to happen.
My first and second season with Georgie, the first season, a couple hunts in, I'm like, all right, we're not doing blind handling stuff. It just isn't.
No, it's terrible.
It's so much worse in the field than even the second season was pretty poor. Finally, last season it started to develop, and I just had to be like, we're just not doing that out here. It's not working. Mm-hmm. She's not listening. We're just not even gonna. The whistle's just not even gonna be a part of it.
And you're one of the very few people in the world that will do that.
Yeah.
Everybody else wants to do it, and like you said, the chaos of a hunt is so overwhelming. They end up not stopping to a whistle, especially like a young seasoned dog that's a seasoned level dog. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you, hunting will deteriorate all that handling in no time.
Right. Yeah.
You have to, and if you want to keep your finish level dog, your master level dog, if you want to keep that standard, when they come back, taking their angle cast and casting into the wind, you've got to hold a high standard when you hunt. You have to expect that dog to cast into the wind. That you have to make it do that. You can't just let it not do it, and then you're destroying all the training. Overnight.
Manage your dog's career.
You manage your dog's career. Exactly right. And I know I'm forgetting some stuff. We didn't even get into the pheasant hunting aspect of hunting dogs here, but maybe someday we'll talk about that. And if you really want to deteriorate any kind of control on a dog, take it pheasant hunting.
Yeah.
That is a surefire way to destroy any kind of control. And if you want your dog to be and I always tell this people, because we have a lot of pheasant hunters in this area too, and if you want your dog to run hunt tests and you want it to run straight and you want to get a master title and you want to do a grand, you want to do all these things, I highly, highly, highly recommend do not pheasant hunt your dog until it's got at least its HRCH on it. And it knows how to run a really, really good cold blind. It knows how to run straight. It knows how to cast into the wind. It knows all of those things because if you teach the dog to use its nose first and become super, super independent like a good pheasant hunting dog is, teaching that dog control and handling is so difficult. I can't stress that enough. So you got to understand what you want out of your dog and what your goals are. And like we keep saying, manage your dog's career.
Right.
But do you think of anything else that I'm missing?
I don't think so. I think that you hit a lot there. I will throw a plug out for my app because we added a new feature of keeping track of your dog's retrieves. It's called the North American Waterfowler app. You can find it just by searching North American Waterfowler. You can upload a little picture of your dog, track all their retrieves, and all sorts of other stuff too. I'm trying to get Chris to use it. Chris, you could actually name your blinds and you could see how many birds you've shot from each blind, how many retrieves Flash had this year, all of it.
I'm actually doing it right now. I hate technology. I like to write stuff down. I'll be quite honest with you. But if this is a North American Waterfowler, right?
Yep. It's either at thenorthamericanwaterfowler.com or the app is on iOS and Android. You just search for North American Waterfowler.
I got it. I just hit get right now. I'm doing it.
And
right
so then
now.
just create yourself an account, Chris, and then let me know, and I'll get you. You don't have to pay.
Oh, good.
You can have it for free. I'll give it to you.
That's a first. that doesn't ever happen.
There you go.
That doesn't ever happen.
Georgie's got 45 retrieves on the season so far, so she's doing
that's
well.
awesome. We have 0. But that's all about to change November 15th when we start our club.
You will be surpassed me probably by November 25th.
I doubt that.
But guys, those of you who are listening to this, Chris is actually going to be on my podcast. I've got another podcast called the North American Waterfowler. I put out 2 episodes a week, and Chris is going to be on that by the time this is out. No, because this comes out Wednesday, so it'll be a few days after this comes out that Chris is going to be on my. So check out my podcast too, and Chris and I are going to go into some serious hunting talk over there.
Yeah, we'll talk hunting. That's a lot more fun than dog training.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, well, that's all I got. And then, another thing too, like I already hit on it earlier. I just want to reiterate too. If your dog is not mentally ready to go hunting, what I mean by breaking and just kind of a crazy overall dog that we know is going to be a nice dog, it's going to have a nice dog, and you need to have the patience of an owner or a client. And if your trainer tells you, listen, this dog doesn't really need to hunt this year. Well, yeah, but the dog's a year and a half. It's been in training for a year. Like I'm telling you, it's just give it another year of mental maturity, and let's do that, and then let the dog grow up a little bit. Please listen to your trainer if they say that, because they're not saying it because they don't want you to hunt with a dog. They're trying to manage that dog's career and do what's best for that dog for years and years and years to come. So please listen to me when I say that.
Think about your long-term goals.
Correct. Exactly right. Well, that's all I got.
All right, let's shut it down.
All right, guys. Thanks you for listening. Thank you, Elliott. We'll see everybody at the line. Take that in.
Gotta strike this chord with the humble hearts. Bearing heavy chains and blue-collar scars. Inevitably, they're gonna get their way. If it don't take that fight, take it to the grave.